40% of kids saying they hate school. We have to find a way in education to bring those kids to school. We got to figure out a way to make them enjoy it, at least just for a little bit.
What we're trying to do is teach kids how to learn.
Some kids have never had success in school. You put them in front of a video game, they find success. Now I have a voice. Now people are listening to me.
I think people think we're teaching video games.
Right.
And that is absolutely not what we're doing.
You can bring this into a building with your teachers, and it's innovative to where the students are going to be a part of something that is just bigger than them.
Through gaming concepts, I really feel like I have even a stronger connection with students than I've had in the past 10 years of teaching.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Gaming Concepts Podcast, the podcast for teachers by teachers. I am Michael Russell. I am joined by Dr. Kristen Craft, whose birthday is today.
Oh, that's right. I was hoping you were going to say anything.
Craft. You are so amazing.
The big level 51. I like to use levels because it sounds so much cooler.
It does. Leveling up is the best.
I'm leveling up.
That's how you're doing it.
I'm going to have the high score soon.
Oh man, that'll be good. That's a good thing to strive for right now.
That's right.
Having the high score is good in this world. So any big plans for today? Anything going on? Or
I have to say, I have to admit, I am getting my birthday massage later today, like late afternoon. So that's going to be my treat to myself because at this age, really, who else is spoiling me but me? So.
Well, that's okay. That's okay.
That's right. I'm super excited about it. So
well.
My kids did come over last night and we got some food and hung out. They gave me about 90 minutes of their attention, which was lovely. That's more than I usually get from the teenager in the basement and the 23-year-old that lives out of the house. So I took it for every moment and loved it. And yeah, we had a great time. And my daughter got me some lipstick. So I have my new lipstick on this morning. I don't think you can tell, but nobody noticed. Whatevs.
Well, I guess I did notice. I'm just going to say I noticed just now.
Right. I noticed just now. You were just going to bring that up. I know. I get it.
That was the next thing I was going to talk about. So anything cool and exciting happening in the world of gaming concepts, scholastic gaming, esports, anything like that?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So much cool stuff. I just, we've been talking to people just even all over the world. I recently had some calls in South Africa. You were on that call with me, talked to somebody in United Kingdom, out there in London. So it's just really neat to see. People are really starting to really understand what we offer as far as, this is well laid out, and love seeing it on our partnership with Game Plan and the way they can do their lessons, and just getting really excited about all the classes that we do offer. I mean, it's really just about making learning so engaging and fun. And, it really is a great STEM. They're really great STEM courses that it's exciting to see it really kind of blow up.
It is fun to be in this part of the journey, right? The very
it is. It is. Just knowing that we're helping out,
I think we recently got into have a school in Finland now, so we have some things going on there, and so it's kind of neat how you imagine doing this 20 years ago when there was no internet or no ability to reach people like that. It's just
I can actually say I remember when I started teaching and we got email.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, this is amazing. You can email people. You can talk to your friends you haven't talked to in forever. It was nuts. Like I'm that old.
I remember, I don't know if anybody in MySpace is totally different now, but
MySpace.
My first social media experiment was MySpace, and my first friend was Tom, because Tom was everybody's first friend, right? Because he was the guy, and I was like, "Who's Tom?"
Who's Tom? Does MySpace still exist? It does exist.
I know that. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
who knew?
Last I knew, it did exist. Somebody told me that maybe in the last 6 months.
All right. Good to know. How about you, Mike? What's going on in your world?
Man, just so much. A lot of things going on. Just kind of recovering from the holidays and everything, like everybody else, and getting back into the swing. But just working away on this streaming and speech book. We're putting a lot of effort into that, and
which is amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be super cool. Yeah, it's going to be really neat to offer that to kids.
Because kids hate taking speech. Let's be honest.
No, the streaming class is coming together nicely. I mean, it's going to be great for kids to have some direction on streaming, and there's a lot of focus on how to schedule your stream and how to act appropriately on the stream and how to moderate chat and things like that. So,
and it's interesting that you're talking about that, because when I was in Region 1 at their Esports Summit, one of the kids talked about how he was just painfully shy and had a stuttering issue, and he was speaking to a group of 100 educators, and it all started with his time in esports, actually learning to stream, and then he became more confident in talking, and there he was, and it was just this amazing story. So
that's I mean, it's incredible. I mean, and I think I've witnessed that in esports, just from the kids being in esports. I've seen those things happen, and I can't imagine having a class during the day that kind of brings more kids in that just
100%.
It's not all centered around esports and scholastic gaming, but a lot of the topics are, and most streamers, 80% of streams are gaming. That's just the stat, but there's a lot of other streams. People stream them doing graphic arts, and some people stream cooking, and some people stream fishing, and I mean, there's all kinds of things. So
you betcha.
It's kind of inspired me to maybe think about doing some some streaming or outside of our podcast. So I don't know. We'll see if I'll have to work that into the time budget. We'll see.
Once the book's over, we got so much time.
Maybe I'll have more time. So the most important thing about streaming is you have to be consistent. You have to do it even when there's nobody watching. You have to do it.
You have to do it.
That's you just have to commit to it. So it's pretty nice. It's amazing to be on this level and be a part of this all at the early level. So, and we're impacting kids. We're doing a good thing. So
every single day.
Well,
did you bring a guest today? I'm curious.
Oh, yes, we do have a guest.
I'm excited to talk to them.
You're going to like this person. I'm very sure you'll like this person.
Okay. Well,
yes.
I hope.
Well, you like all the people.
I'm out. I'm just going to hang out.
You're just going to be like, I'm off.
Like,
that's it. We're done.
I don't like
other things to do. So I like your KU, your nice looking KU jacket. This will actually probably be good for you to have that on.
Really?
Yes. It'd be that's a first clue right there.
Oh, I have a guess.
But
it's okay. Keep going. I want to hear the clues.
This person was either on stage or backstage for 18 different plays and musicals in high school.
I still think I may know.
You probably know. Favorite esport game is Rocket League.
Is it Neal Doolin?
It's Neal Doolin. It is Neal Doolin. You're so smart. He gave me very obvious clues. So
but that's okay. I think the KU thing gave it away.
Yeah, it did.
First.
It did.
So
who
knew that I'd be wearing that today? How nice.
Yeah, that was not his fault. That was my fault. So we're excited to talk to Neal, and when we get him in here, we'll chat him up.
Yeah. Oh, Doolin, I guessed you.
Hooray.
Yeah, he said KU in theater, Rocket League favorite game. I'm like, oh, check.
And I only mentioned
welcome
KU
to the podcast.
because he was wearing the KU.
It did. It gave it away instantly. You were the first person that came to my head.
Oh, did I say K? I should have left that out. Dang it.
No, you didn't say that. You didn't say that.
I
thought he was wearing it, and I was like, oh, this is probably going to go well because KU. And
because I wore it. Who knew? And I didn't know you were going to be on.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us. I did not know you were in 18 plays. That's pretty amazing.
The thespian. Were you a thespian?
Oh, yes. International Thespian Society.
Did you go to Wichita for their thespian conference?
We did. I did 3 of my 4 years. Yeah.
Nice.
My son just had it last weekend, and my daughter was obsessed every time she went. And I have never seen my son come home so excited. Has colleges he wants to go visit. I'm like, who is this kid? But yeah, a really, really cool experience. So I never did theater in high school, and I should have. I don't know why I didn't. So
It makes great teachers.
It does. It really does. What was your favorite play ever before we have you introduce yourself, like that you did, or musical?
That's a great question. I know it may be childish, but my favorite musical to be a part of was Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat because there's like
Ooh,
10 different styles of music in it.
yeah.
Um, um, or we also did. I wasn't on stage for this one. I was just in the production. Just in the production. It's not just. I was in the
Right.
production
That's a lot of work.
backstage of The Boys Next Door, which is a it's half a comedy, half serious about some young men with mental challenges and how their
Yeah.
lives are actually just like ours. Um,
Yeah.
and I really like that one too because you got the audience to both laugh and learn something by the end of the show.
Yeah. I love it. Well,
Mhm.
welcome. Why don't you tell all the listeners who you are and how you're involved in esports and kind of your background?
Absolutely. Yeah. So my name is Neal Doolin. Presently, I'm the director of platform operations at Generation Esports. That means I oversee both the customer service and the customer support teams. But my background in esports, or just overall, is I started in education. I went to the University of Kansas, got a degree in physics, certified to teach secondary mathematics and physics. And every year on the first day of school, when I was introducing myself to the kids, I would always say, I'm a gamer. Here are the games I'm currently playing. If anyone would like to make a video game club, please come find me. And it took 6 years. But finally, in the fall of 2018, a group of kids approached me and they said, "Hey, Mr. Doolin, we'd like to make a club. We'd like to make a team to play in this high school esports league." And I was like, "This is awesome. This is kind of what I've been waiting for." Because I've been a consumer of esports and just professional video gaming content since honestly 2010 when I discovered StarCraft 2. I was up till 4 a.m, some breaks in college, watching the Global StarCraft League in Korea because it wouldn't come on till 3 or 4 a.m. our time, and well, I was a college kid, so who cared, right? But I was so excited when those kids came to me. They wanted to play, of course, what was the most violent shooter at the time, Counter-Strike, and I said, well, yeah, I'll see what I can do, but why don't we make it not just Counter-Strike? Let's make it any game. Let's open it up to the whole school, anyone that wants to play any of these games. And, we'll go from there. And our first season, we had 19 kids playing in HSCL. Our second season, we had 27. And then our third season, we had 43.
Wow.
And from there, we kind of leveled out around upper 20s, low 30s competitors each season. But more than that, we had over 50 kids attend 2 or more club meetings every semester. And our school only had between 11 or 1,200 kids. So that's a pretty sizable club for a school that size. As with all things, COVID certainly changed my life, as I know it changed everyone's.
Sure.
I was burning out a little bit in the education world. I taught everything from intermediate algebra all the way through AP Calculus BC, and I was teaching general physics on the side. And I kind of made that maybe classic young teacher mistake of trying to be Superman, and I was just killing myself in the process. Hey, I was trying to be the number one teacher, and what I forgot about was, I also got to take care of Neal Doolin and Mrs. Doolin, and COVID, honestly, it was those 8-10 weeks where we were at home. We were doing the first version of virtual school, where you could do videos or optional discussions, but you didn't have to do live classes. And just as the rest of the world seemed to be falling apart and losing their minds, I realized I'd never been more sane. And I think it was just I didn't realize how stressed out I was, until I let that go.
Yeah.
And but I said, I'm going to stick it out one more year because my kids deserve this. I was very fortunate. I got to teach 2 math classes back to back. So I had the same group of kids for 2 years. And I felt like I owed it to that group of kids to help them weather the storm.
Yeah.
And, I also didn't have this realization till April or May. So,
Right.
it was kind of late to be thinking about a switch then. But I was applying for other jobs in Kansas City in the tech industry when a newsletter from the high school esports league came to my inbox, and I just thought to myself, you know what? I've built a team from scratch. I have convinced parents, I have convinced principals, district officials about the importance of esports. I have shown people how it connects young people together and to the school. And boy, maybe they could use someone like me to help other teachers, get their programs started.
I love it. And that's what you do every single day. You help teachers get their program started.
Exactly. So I still have that sense of, fulfillment, because I know I'm helping someone else create those connections with their kids that, just warmed me up inside.
Yeah. I think that's what's so great about just, our entire team here, Neal, is, we've all been educators. I mean, everybody on this call, sorry, did my dog just make a really gross noise? Do we need to block that out? Who knows? I can't tell if you can hear him, but
I didn't hear anything.
Okay, good, because
very
he's disgusting. He's a Frenchie. But I think when you are in education, you wake up every day because you have a calling. You have a calling to help kids. And we didn't, even when you weren't in the education realm, Mike, for a while, you still always had a calling to be a teacher. And I do think that profession is very much a calling. And I think what's so great is because we have that calling within us, I think that's what helps us to be so successful working with the schools, because we get up every day and I know I'm still impacting kids, and I know I'm still impacting educators, and in public education and private education, whatever, I'm getting to help kids think outside the box. Teachers think innovatively, engage them, improve their attendance, improve their grades. And we get to do it all through something called esports, which I feel like we're living the dream, right?
Yeah. I thought I had my dream job for 6 of the 8 years where I was teaching. I taught physics and advanced math, and for the other 2 years I taught physics and, like I said, the intermediate math. And I thought I had my dream job. Honestly, I love teaching the calculus 2 kids. I also love teaching those intermediate algebra kids.
Sure.
So those were the 2 classes I got the most out of, because you could see the most personal growth.
Yeah.
And now I think I have my dream job because I get to work in esports and I'm still connected to education. So it's funny where life takes you.
I know it is. I love it.
Yeah, you never know. You never know where you're going to end up. So,
go ahead,
Kristen. No, go ahead. No,
I was just going to say, talk to us a little bit about, since obviously your kids were the ones that kind of championed getting it started, in your high school. But you also kind of dropped that little hey, if anybody wants to start a gaming club. So it was like something you wanted as well. What were some of the obstacles that you felt like you had to overcome as you were doing this from the teacher's perspective?
Absolutely. How about what wasn't an obstacle? There wasn't much. Right off the bat, our first obstacle was, okay, we know that it is the act of playing a game that can bring kids together. So how do we get that to happen in the school space when we're not going to be allowed to install any games on the computers? And our solution for that was, now, fortunately, I will concede to everyone listening, I taught in an affluent area. My kids were well off. They had equipment that they were able to bring to the school. So the very first couple things we did is we either organized some virtual game nights, over Discord and whatnot, but we also started organizing about monthly activities where kids would bring in their Nintendo Switch, their Xbox, whatever, and we would set up in my classroom. I would grab as many computer screens as the other teachers would let me borrow. We'd put a Nintendo Switch on the projector, and we'd play Super Smash Brothers, Mario Kart, Rocket League. The kids found a way to get Minecraft on the computers. So there's just something about being able to pick up a controller and play a game with someone that you've never met or you would have never otherwise interacted with. That's just beautiful. In that vein, it was a struggle to to get the administration to understand what I was doing. I knew there was at least one administrator that believed in me and the club from the start, but the rest, they had to see it to believe it. And so it took probably about 2 semesters, but really what it came down to is either I had to grab him by the arm and say, hey, you're coming to the club meeting today. Or finally, the last one, he happened to be at the school, working a soccer game or something. And well, to get to his office, he had to walk by the library where we were all playing on our Nintendo Switches, and he stopped in. And okay, he got it now. And that just took some time, but yeah, for those folks, seeing was believing. They just didn't understand when I would try and advocate for my kids. They had to walk into my classroom or into the library and see the students on, the counselor's watch list, either for truancy or for suicide risk or other mental health issues. They had to walk in there and see the student that was in the emotional disorder classroom who eats lunch by himself, playing and talking with other kids. They just had to see it to believe it. And so that just took time. And then, the parents, there were some that were just overjoyed that finally this thing my kid does alone in their room, they have a social network now at the school. But I had the other set of parents that resided in the belief that this is a waste of time, and now the school is enabling this waste of time. Nope, you're absolutely not doing this. You got to be on the debate team. You got to go to swim practice or something. And so, when I'm talking about, hey, we made teams to play in HSCL, the kids are already flaky, right? Teenagers, their interests can change on a whim. Suddenly you discover girls or boys, and but on top of that, then parents saying, oh no, you're not playing Rocket League tonight. You got a math test in 2 days. You got to work on that. It's like, why can't it be both? So
right, yeah. Why can't it be both?
Right. Fundraising was an issue. Like I started my club in 2018, when there were very few esports programs. I'm not saying they didn't exist. I know the true early adopters got on board 2015, 16, 17. But like when you're a brand new club, you have to scratch and claw for every dollar. And so I said, hey, I burned out on education. One of the things that burned me out, Dr. Craft, was I didn't get that assistance from the school district. The most help I got was from the building PTO. That they believed in our kids, our program, because they were there to see it, right? But I wasn't able to convince very many folks outside of our building of the validity of our program.
Yeah, I think you make a great point about people seeing it in person, administrators and teachers and parents, and that's always I think the most beneficial thing we can do is show it to people. But the hard part is showing it to people, right? Because there's not a program everywhere where I can just go to somebody's school, right, and be like, Christy will even tell you that. I mean, she was always super supportive of me, but when it really came to light for her was when we went to BlitzCon, and she's like, oh, that's, if you take anybody to any event like that, they're immediately going to be like, oh, I totally get this, right? I mean, and seeing your kids play and showing, same thing happened with our program. I mean, we would have people come by and they're like, I don't know about all this, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, I totally get why this is a good thing, right? So I mean, to me, that really is one of the most important things, and I'm glad you brought that up, because it really is the light bulb moment for most people, because they don't understand and probably most people don't understand what a regular classroom looks like either. I would argue, parents don't know what goes on in a classroom every day, most of them, and even a lot of administrators don't get the time. I mean, Kristen can speak to this, but I mean, if you're in a large building, it's probably hard to go see every classroom every day. It's impossible, right? So it's hard to stay consistent, but I mean, I do think that is one of our big challenges. And then the technology challenge is obviously the big one. acquiring technology, but also working with your IT department to get those things to function. I'm kind of curious, like when you brought the switches to school, were you able to get on the Wi-Fi at school, or how did that work?
That's a great question, Mike. So we were not allowed to connect anything to the Wi-Fi, and it just didn't work. The IT folks who set up the network were smart enough to not let that work. However, we did discover that if we connected in directly with the wire, that would work. So it was definitely one of those situations where I said, well, I'll ask for forgiveness instead of permission. And we did set up 2 Nintendo Switches to play some students playoff matches in front of an audience at school, the other kids in the club. So that was a lot of fun. And, one other interesting thing related to, the IT and the networking and the security is, once I got my principals on board, they believed in me, but we were still getting stonewalled by the district, by the IT department. I got some helpful advice. I won't say from who, because I don't want to implicate anyone, but they told me, they said, remember, I said kids would play Minecraft on our school issued computers. Well, I was not allowed to tell the kids how to get Minecraft onto the computers. But if other kids in my club told the kids how to get Minecraft on the computers, my principal said, we do not care. This is obviously what is the right thing for your kids. So we're not going to sell you out. I'm going to have to say, I don't know, if someone comes and asks me about it. And that was great. And about 6 months later, I did get accosted by IT. Are you teaching kids how to install Minecraft on the computers? We have a mom saying a kid has to have it for Esports Club. And I said, nope, I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know what you're saying.
What? What's Minecraft? I don't even know what that
is. So let's talk about ed tech directors for a little bit. I think, Neal, I think you had the experience, and I see this, across the board. You talk to one school district and their ed tech director is fully on board, almost leading the charge for their district for esports. And then you have other ed tech directors that, they won't even open up email to your juniors and seniors, right? They're scared of everything. And then you have, is it not SIPA anymore? Is it COPA? Is it COPA or whatever? Or is it still SIPA? Like with that you have to be like putting in things in place.
Yeah, it's COPA is what they fall under.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of fear there for some directors, and I even know, some districts that we work with, they've made it hard for even them to get, some of our things open, like game plan or the platform or different things like that. So what would you say to them? Because oftentimes, we have to try to work on helping them understand it, but it's so polar opposite of what we see. You've got the ones that are like, so why is it that some schools and districts think this is so doable and others are like, no? And what do we do with that to move forward? And how do we get that change made? And if you were talking to an ed tech director right now, what would you say? It's a lot. That's a loaded question.
That's a great question. There are a number of different creative ways you can protect your students while they're online and playing these games. For the folks that are worried about personally identifying information, okay, your school can either create the game license or buy the game license per student. You have to have one license per student. A student can't share a license, but that's another legal discussion. For the folks that are more worried about internet security, I mean, over my 18 months here working at Generation Esports, I feel like I've been introduced to 4 or 5 different solutions where some school districts they've set up a different internet network for just the esports lab, or they've identified the machines that are appropriate for esports, and they only have access to the ports and whatnot required for the games from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Tech folks I can just say the buzzwords. The tech folks would actually understand what they mean. I've heard of demilitarized zones and other virtual private networks, but to me, the we can't do that is not an acceptable answer. It's I don't want to do that, or it will just take me a lot of time to do that, and I don't want to do that. And if you don't have the time, okay, why? Let's find someone who does have the time.
Right. Yeah, because it's not about you. It's about the kids, right?
Exactly. We know, and this argument could be applied to your IT director. This could be applied to your principal, your superintendent. This could be applied to your parents,
or even fellow teachers.
Yes, and the kids are already playing these games at home.
Yes.
Kids are playing violent games like Call of Duty, Rainbow Six Siege at home. It can be on the violence argument too. So if they're already doing it, don't we have some sort of obligation to create a healthier, safer, structured environment where we can teach them some life skills as they play those games?
Amen.
Yeah. I mean, what are we doing? I mean, we got to prepare our kids for a digital world, and what we're doing is cutting them off from the digital world.
Yeah.
I mean, we're teaching them not to engage in that world, and that's the world they're in. They're going to live in that. And what's frustrating sometimes is those same folks who don't want to allow them to get out onto the internet at school. Our kids watch 4 hours worth of TikTok, or they're on social media all the time, and I'm like, what service are we doing our kids by allowing, if we're going to allow that, and most of it's unsupervised. I mean, no parent stands there all night with their kid and watches them watch TikTok, right? So
nope.
I mean, we're doing a disservice. We're doing the opposite, in my opinion, and I think that's kind of where us as esports, as a new opportunity, because it's a new area, we do have an opportunity here where we can do more than just introduce a new subject and a new curriculum or new courses. We can hopefully change the way some things are done in education. I mean, that's one of our broader, very higher level missions is, why do we do things the way we do sometimes?
Yeah.
I mean, why can't we allow the kids to be on the internet? When's the best time for them to be on the internet? Well, when there's an adult in the room who can help them navigate the situation that's going to happen when they're on the internet. It's like, oops, I clicked the wrong YouTube video and it's this content and not this content, or I clicked the wrong, what do I do in that situation? I mean, you're accidentally going to do that sometimes, or you're going to get in a conversation and you're not going to know how to get out of it. I mean, so many things are teachable.
Even just this person said this thing to me online. Okay, how do you respond to that?
Right.
Most of the times the answer is don't, but
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, but that's still an answer. I think
exactly.
Right. That's still a teachable, relevant moment.
Yeah, it's teachable. Yeah. And, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was, when you were talking, I think I've had this aha moment in the last week about, providing that structure for kids. And, when we think about the pandemic and we think about when kids were at home and then they came back to school, and the word that I heard used over and over and over was the kids are so dysregulated. And that's kind of how I view the whole gaming esports world. The kids have been playing games and esports for years and years and years and years and years. And we laugh about, it's the stereotypical kid in the basement. I mean, that's my kid, right? But they are doing it oftentimes alone in their rooms, right? And so they are they are dysregulated because they haven't had any structure around how do you behave in that world. And that's why we do see a toxic culture within the esports world. But that's also part of our world now, where there's toxic culture all over, where, internet, social media, all kinds of things. And so how are we helping those kids who this is what they do? This is how they communicate. This is their social life. How are we helping? We're just ignoring them. Like, we're literally just ignoring them in school by saying, you know what, esports, it makes my blood boil when we don't have people that want to support esports in school, because it doesn't make sense to them. And again, it's not about you. It's about meeting the kids where they're at, right? Give them structure. And it's so much cheaper than half the stuff we do in schools.
Well, and find me one other thing besides breathing and eating and sleeping that 97% of kids do. There's not another thing.
Even their kids they would consider to be, the captain of the football team. I love Alex's story that he always tells, the most popular kid in school. He's gaming. they're gaming. Everybody's gaming. And if they're not, it's because they don't have access to it. Well, you bring it into a school. Now you provide access and you've got their attention. And, that linear of, okay, well, if games are at school, I'm good in these and I'm seeing success. Gosh, I'm probably good at school now. We see that consistently over and over and over. And yet some people, well, a lot of people still dig their heels in, and it's the best kept secret in education. I'm convinced.
Yeah. All right. Well, I have a kind of a personal question, Neal. A couple things, since you mentioned StarCraft 2, and that was kind of I was older than you when I was into it, but I was fairly decent. So what race was your competitive race like, or were you one of those random guys?
No, I was not a random guy. That was too hard. I played a lot of Protoss in Wings of Liberty. Got as high up as platinum, so I actually wasn't very good. And then I switched to Zerg in Heart of the Swarm. But I wasn't very good at it. And after that, I just watched it, or I played the campaign of Legacy of the Void. I didn't play multiplayer at that point. Yeah. I'd mostly moved on to League of Legends and Counter-Strike at that point.
So did you watch a lot of Artosis,
Tasteless and Artosis? Oh yeah. I actually used to have an autographed mouse pad with Tasteless and Artosis' autographs, and you know what? It actually didn't make the move to our adult house. This is more of a bachelor pad, a apartment life sort of thing. And well, I hadn't consumed StarCraft content in 10 years when we moved here. Also, they weren't sent, there was room for more signatures and it didn't get filled up. So it just didn't look very good. I wasn't going to display it anywhere. So I did toss it out when I moved, but no, I loved those guys.
Yeah. Well, Tasteless is from Kansas City.
Yeah. And Day 9.
And his brother's Day 9, Sean. Yeah. So yeah, it's, but yeah, StarCraft 2 was I got into competitive stuff with like Warcraft 3. That was kind of really when I got into it. But StarCraft 2 was like all consuming for me, and it was great. I was a Zerg player, so the whole time. So
yeah, I don't know what you guys are talking about.
I'm sorry.
That's the beauty of it all, because I can still support something that's good for kids, and I don't have to be an expert, right?
Yeah.
It's funny. What I love about StarCraft is that I still view it as the ultimate 1-versus-1 esport.
Mm-hmm.
But, in the Scholastic setting, I really try and lean into the team games because, the connections you'll make with someone else. I argue kids can learn the same lessons playing a team-based esport as they could playing basketball, playing soccer, etc. But nothing gets my juices going like watching StarCraft 2, because it's just so intense. All that pressure on one person to perform so many different actions and think strategically and react under pressure. It's crazy.
Yeah. I always say, when we did our gaming concepts class, that, you want to use a variety of games. You don't want to focus on the same game. And in our first iteration of that class, I had them play a different game every day. Each day had a different, and StarCraft 2 was one of the days, and kids hated it because they were like,
it's hard.
I hate StarCraft 2, because it was so hard. It was hard. It's hard to learn.
Yeah.
Once you're really good at it, once you get enough time in, it's really fun. But when you're not, but it was good that they were learning. There's different strategies in that game than there are in chess and there are in Hearthstone. It's good that they're learning differently in their brain. So I would never take it off, but eventually we evolved away from it because the game became, old and everything. But no, I thought it is. I'm with you. It's probably one of the most well done 1-versus-1 games ever. So
that's so great. So I know you have a lot of these, but if you can maybe pick one, can you tell us just about a story that like an inspiring story? That was the word I was looking for, around, what you saw with maybe one of your students or two of your students, and just those are I think those are the best things to hear. So what do you got as far as an inspiring story about one of your kiddos in esports?
Okay. So for the folks who are really engaged with gaming concepts content, You may remember I've written 2 different blog posts for Gaming Concepts, both inspiring stories about 2 different students. One of them is I credit a young man with saving his friend's life, and I posed the question. I honestly don't know if that would have happened if not for the esports club. And the other story I told was about the just incredible personal growth of a young woman who really the only way she connected with other kids was through gaming, because of just emotional disorders and some other special needs. But I'm thinking about right now. I'm just thinking about other kids that come to mind. I've got a young man who still texts me from college, where he really struggled with the move to college, because, as did I, honestly, because it's just a total life change. Everything gets turned upside down. This young man was very comfortable, in his room with his certain set of friends, playing the certain set of video games, going to class in high school at the time, and he was calling his mom, his dad, saying, I can't do this. I can't go to school here. And I got on the phone with him a couple times, and I just said, hey, I know this university has a varsity esports program, and I know they have a club. And I said, buddy, you got to make it through this semester. We don't make big life altering decisions in 1 week, 2 weeks. You got to make it through this semester. But if you still hate it here, then we can talk to mom and dad about doing something else. But I know this club meets, and we looked up when it met. I don't remember when it meets. But I said, you have to go, because you just got to find your people, man. That's what you're missing about high school. He was missing his people. He only had 1 or 2 friends at this university, and it's a state school in Kansas. But it was we text every month or so, and we get together for coffee when he's home for Christmas and spring break and the summer, and that was it. Like, that was what he needed. And that's not even my club, guys. That's his university.
Right.
He's doing so much better. And it's because he made that group of friends, and he got onto the club team for Overwatch. And I think he's a sub, or at least at the time he was a sub for the club team for Rocket League.
Yeah.
But there it was. This was a kid that needed some sense of regularity. And we got rid of all his regularity when he moved out somewhere 3 hours away from home. And, suddenly you can sleep in till 11. Your first class is until 11:30 or whatever. And that wasn't good for him. I think it was, that connecting over that shared interest with some other humans that started to shift the perception. Hey, this is home. I can think of another young man. Hey, 90% of my club was young men, so you're going to get a lot of young men stories out of me. The gender gap was something I wasn't super great at, changing that line. But I can think of another young man who had some special needs, but was in 4 or 5 traditional classes during the school day instead of 7. Did not connect with very many individuals. Did not have great study habits. His idea of doing homework was cracking open a Monster Energy at 10 p.m. or midnight and then doing it. Oh, Jesus.
Surely not.
But we saw that potential in him because he was so passionate about gaming that we invited him to be on the student leadership team for his junior year. And he did really well. Really good at organizing meetings, bringing kids together, talking to other kids. We put him in charge of leading the Minecraft meetings, actually. He was the kid I sent other kids to get the game installed on their laptop. But his mom came and found me during his senior year at parent-teacher conferences. I never had this young man in class. And she just said, thank you for esports. Did you know my son founded the anime club at the school. And I said, oh, I knew there was an anime club. I didn't know he was the one that founded it. And she said, yeah, it was the confidence he got from being a student leader for esports. And so she thanked me. And I said, well, you shouldn't be thanking me. You should be thanking everyone. But I come back to it's a different group of kids that, I mean, hey, you know what? Yes, 97% of kids play video games. But there is a set of that 97% that aren't necessarily interested in traditional athletics, traditional activities, theater, debate, whatever, that are attracted to gaming. And, these two young men I just spoke about, they were part of that population. This is really what connected them to the school. And I just think, I know the climate's a little bit different everywhere, with COVID and whatnot, but what I heard a lot of as I was watching the Board of Education meetings during, the COVID school year. I heard a lot of parents saying they were advocating for traditional sports and athletics and activities to continue to take place. I heard a lot of, there's some things you can only learn on the football field. There's life lessons, team lessons, whatever. And I carry that with me because I say, why don't kids who don't play football deserve the opportunity to learn those life lessons or to make those connections? Yeah. They do. We just need to provide them a different venue.
Yes. Yeah. They're important too.
Okay, we have two more questions. One's a fun question that Kristen will have here in a second. But my last question is, let's say in 1 to 2 words, what would you say is the future of esports? How do you see the future of esports?
Trying to pick the best 1 or 2 words here.
I'm an alternative teacher, so I'm going to say if you need 5 words, that's okay too.
Normal. That's what I'm going to say.
Normal.
The future of esports is it's going to be normal. It's going to be normal for esports to be in schools. It's going to be normal for you to turn on ABC, TNT, ESPN, and you're going to see video games. I knew esports had made it when I was working out at the gym on a Saturday morning in it was probably 2019. And there was Counter-Strike on TNT at the gym. Or I saw Overwatch League on one of the TVs one Saturday morning at the gym. I said, okay, I think we've made it. Obviously, Saturday morning, not the best time slot. We're not going up against the NFL yet. But right now that generation of folks that consumes esports content is overall, if I had to guess, I would say maybe 35 and younger, maybe upper 30s. I'm not saying folks older than 35 don't consume esports content. I'm just saying the bulk of that audience is that age. And as that demographic starts to get older, I think we're only going to see it increase. And so it'll go from being the novelty to the expectation to the normal thing to existing in schools, in colleges, in life, on TV. I really do.
Awesome. I love it. Normal. That's such a good word. And I think just everything you talked about, I'm actually not going to ask the fun question because I want to leave it with normal for the future. But I do want people to know how they can get in touch with you on social media, Neal. How can they reach you on LinkedIn or Twitter or wherever?
Sure. Yeah. LinkedIn and Twitter, both. My parents blessed me with an odd spelling in my name. My mom will say it's the normal way, but being a teacher, I've learned over the years it's not. But it's really simple. It's Neal Doolin, NealDoolin. I'm on Twitter. I'm on LinkedIn. That's my handle for both.
Awesome. Well, I can be found at Kristen Esports on LinkedIn and Twitter. Mike, you can be found at?
I am at Russ the Teach on Twitter and Michael Russell on LinkedIn.
That is awesome. Neal, we are so grateful for you to spend some time with us today on the Gaming Concepts podcast. And again, guys, we got to normalize esports and education. So thank you so much for your time today. And until next time, keep changing the world just one student at a time, everybody. Take care.